Commander Jason Pierce stood on the bridge of the horizon and watched the dead ship float in the black void of space. The alien transport was torn open like a flower, its hull broken and dark. No signals came from inside. No lights blinked. Nothing moved. But Jason had learned long ago that no signals sometimes meant people were still alive, waiting for help. "Scan the ship again," Jason said to his scanner officer, a young woman named Amy Carter. She had steady hands and sharp eyes. She had never made a mistake when reading the sensors. Amy leaned forward and studied her screen. The green lines moved across the display, hunting for heat, for movement, for any sign of life hidden in that broken metal shell. "I am getting something, Commander," Amy said, her voice quiet. "It is small, very small, maybe in the cargo bay at the rear section. The heat signature is fatting. Whatever is alive in there, it is dying." Jason felt his chest tighten. The Horizon was a salvage ship, meant to find valuable materials and technology in the wreckage of dead vessels. The crew was trained to collect and sell, not to rescue. That was not what Jason was paid to do, but he had never been good at following the rules that said a life was worth less than profit. "Get a team ready," Jason ordered. "We are going in." The executive officer, Captain Daniel Foster, stepped forward. He was a hard man with a face like stone. He did not approve of Jason's choices. "Sir," Daniel said, "we do not know what is on that ship. We do not know if it is safe. Protocol says we must stay clear and report to the authorities." "The authorities are 3 months away," Jason said. "Whatever is alive in there will be dead in 3 hours." Jason moved toward the lift. He did not wait for Daniel's answer. Daniel could follow the rules. Jason would save the life. The ship was cold. That was the first thing Jason noticed when he stepped through the airlock. The cold bit at his suit like teeth. The Horizon's light cut through the darkness ahead of him, showing twisted metal and broken screens. The alien ship was not human. The angles were wrong. The walls curved in ways that made Jason's eyes hurt. The symbols on the walls meant nothing to him, but they were beautiful in a way that felt like looking at something ancient and important. Dr. Cross came behind him, moving slowly through the broken ship. Was the Horizon's medical officer. She was the best doctor Jason had ever met. She could keep dead people alive if they gave her enough time. Now she had almost no time at all. "The heat source is through here," said the engineering specialist. Had worked with Jason for 5 years. He understood what Jason believed about the value of every life, even alien lives. Especially alien lives. The 3 of them moved through the broken corridors. The ship groaned around them. Metal was splitting. Pressure was changing. They did not have much time before the whole vessel collapsed into the vacuum. They found the boy in the cargo section, lying among boxes of smooth metal and strange containers. He was small, smaller than Jason expected. His skin was pale blue, almost white, and covered with thin lines like cracks running across porcelain. His eyes were shut. His breathing was so shallow that Jason could barely see his chest move. But he was alive. "Careful," said. She was already moving, already checking the boy's condition. "His physiology is different, very different. I can feel a pulse here, but I am not sure which part is most important. He has 3 organs that are beating. I need to work fast." Began collecting data on his scanner. "We can stabilize him if we move quickly. His suit has a medical monitor built in. I can read his status. His temperature is dropping fast. His body is shutting down." Jason moved closer to the small figure. The boy's face was beautiful in a strange way, smooth and perfect like something carved from stone. But there was something familiar in his features too. Something that made Jason think of his own son left behind on Earth. The boy could not be more than 13 years old, maybe 14. A child. Just a child, lost and broken and alone. "Get him to the Horizon," Jason said. "Now." Worked the entire journey back to the ship. She ran tests and checked readings and gave the boy medicine that she was not even sure would work on alien blood. Helped her. doing everything she asked without question. Jason carried the boy himself, holding the small form gently against his chest, walking through the corridors of the horizon like a father carrying his son. The medical bay was ready when they arrived, had prepared 4 different treatment plans. She did not know which one would save him, but she was willing to try them all. "Out of my way," said, and everyone moved. She became someone else then, someone focused and deadly serious, the doctor who did not accept failure. For 6 hours they watched over the boy. His breathing changed. His color shifted from blue to pale green and back to blue again. Twice, thought they had lost him. Twice, she brought him back. Finally, his eyes opened. They were large and dark, like looking into deep water. They were filled with fear and confusion and pain. The boy tried to sit up but held him down gently. "You are safe," said. "You are on a human ship. You are alive. That is all that matters now." The boy's eyes moved around the room. He looked at Jason. He looked at every human face, searching for danger, searching for answers. "My name is Jason Pierce," Jason said slowly and carefully. "We found you in a broken ship. We brought you here. You are safe now." The boy's lips moved. Words came out, strange and musical, not quite like any language Jason had ever heard. Then, in stumbling English, the boy spoke. "Where is my mother?" the boy asked. "Where is Queen Meridian, the Empire? Are they coming?" Jason's blood went cold. They had rescued a child. The Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. They did not help other species. They did not see other species as equals. They saw humans as tools at best. At worst, they saw humans as nothing at all. But looking at the scared boy in the medical bed, Jason did not care about the politics. He did not care about what the Empire thought. He had brought the boy home and he would keep him safe. Whatever came next, that was the truth that mattered. "Rest," Jason said. "Sleep now. We will find your people, but first you need to heal. We are going to take care of you." The boy's eyes slowly closed. His breathing became steady. He slept like a child who had finally found safety. Jason left the medical bay and walked to the observation deck. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Empire ruled. Somewhere out there, a queen was grieving her lost child. And Jason Pierce, commander of a small salvage ship, had just made a choice that would change everything. The boy woke up screaming. He was dreaming about falling, about the ship breaking apart, about the sound of metal tearing and the feeling of being alone in the dark. Was in the medical bay when it happened. He was there at the boy's bedside, checking the monitors that showed the child was healing. The boy sat up, his eyes wild and lost. His mouth opened and words poured out in that strange musical language, fast and desperate and broken with fear. Tears ran down his blue-white face. Did not hesitate. He moved close to the bed and spoke in a low, calm voice. "You are safe," said. "You are on the horizon. You are safe." He said it again and again, the same words, the same tone, until the boy's breathing slowed. Until the fear drained from his face and left only exhaustion. The boy looked at. There was recognition in his eyes now, memory of being saved. "What is your name?" asked slowly. The boy's lips moved. He said, "I am Prince of the Empire. I am dying." "No," said firmly. "You are not dying. The doctor saved your life. You will live." Looked at his own body as if seeing it for the first time. His skin had a slight glow now, a healthier hue. His breathing was deep and regular. He was wearing a medical suit that kept his body at the right temperature, the right pressure. Everything that had been broken was slowly being put back together. "Why?" asked. "Why did you save me? You are human. We do not save humans. Humans are primitive. They are not worth saving." Pulled up a chair and sat beside the bed. He had thought about this moment. He had thought about what to say to an alien prince who had been taught that his people were superior to all others. "Because you were alive and we could save you," said simply. "That is enough reason." Over the next days, spent time with. He brought him food from the Horizon's kitchen. Cook William Hayes had worked hard to figure out what physiology could digest safely. He had created meals that were simple and nourishing, made from basic proteins and nutrients that matched what needed. "Why do you spend time with me?" asked on the fourth day. He was stronger now. He could sit up without pain. He could move his fingers and legs. Healing was happening fast. "Because you are alive and alone and far from home," said, "and I remember what that feels like." Told about Earth. He showed him pictures on a small screen. He showed him mountains and oceans and cities full of light. He showed him forests and deserts and snow falling from the sky. He showed him humans laughing and running and helping each other. "Your people think we are weak," said, "but we are not weak. We are different. We choose to help others even when it costs us something. We choose to be kind even when we have nothing to gain." Watch the images move across the screen. His dark eyes grew wider. Something in his expression changed. Something that looked like understanding. "My mother teaches that strength is power," said slowly. "Strength is knowledge. Strength is weapons and technology, but you are saying strength is something else." "Yes," said. "Strength is also the choice to do what is right instead of what is easy. Strength is caring about someone else's life as much as your own." Navigator Sophie Grant came to visit on the seventh day. She brought a small device and sat beside his bed. "I thought you might want to learn our language better," Sophie said. She was young, maybe 30 years old, with red hair and freckles. She spoke slowly and carefully, making sure understood every word. "Would you like that?" Nodded. So Sophie spent hours with him, teaching him words. She taught him the names of things. She taught him how humans spoke to each other. She taught him songs and stories and jokes. She taught him that language was not just about transferring information. Language was about connection. It was about being understood. By the 10th day, could speak in broken but understandable English. His accent was strange, musical, but his meaning was clear. "Why does your people help me?" asked one afternoon. They were in the observation room, looking out at the stars. The horizon was moving toward space, heading toward the home that had not expected to see again. "Because humans believe every life has value," said. "Even the lives of people who are different from us. Even the lives of people who might not thank us or reward us or even like us." Was quiet for a long time. He stared out at the stars like he was searching for something in the vast emptiness. "I was not like my people," said finally. "I asked questions. I said things that were not. The council said I was broken. My mother said I was difficult. They were sending me away. My transport was going to a place where I would be alone, forever." Listened without interrupting. He knew that sometimes people needed to speak their pain into the silence. "But then you crashed," said, "and we found you." "And you saved me," said, "even though I was nothing to you, even though your people gained nothing from saving a prince." "We gained something," said. "We gained a chance to show that humans are not what the Empire thinks we are. We gained a friend." Turned to look at. There was something different in his eyes now. Not the fear he had shown on the first day, not the arrogance of a superior being, but something softer, something that looked like gratitude, something that looked like hope. "I will remember this," said. "I will tell my mother, I will tell the council, humans are not primitive. Humans are more advanced than we are. You have something we have lost." "What is that?" asked. "The ability to love," said simply. "The ability to care. The ability to save someone without knowing what you will get in return." William Hayes brought food again and this time smiled. Sophie came by to practice language and laughed at the jokes she told him. Dr. Cross checked his vital signs and found everything healing perfectly. Even Daniel Foster, the executive officer who had wanted to leave the boy behind, came to speak with. He listened to the young prince's story. He heard the loneliness in his voice, and something in Daniel changed too. By the time the horizon entered the outer regions of space, was strong and well, but more than that, he was changed. He was no longer the scared, frightened boy they had found in the broken ship. He was becoming someone new. Someone who understood that strength came in many forms. Someone who knew that humans were more than what his people had taught him. And as the horizon moved toward and the rest of the crew did not know that the boy they had saved would change everything for humanity. They did not know that would stand before the most powerful being in the galaxy and tell her the truth about what humans really were. They only knew that they had done the right thing, and for them, that was enough. The first warning came from the sensors 20 hours before the horizon reached space. Amy Carter was at her station when the alarms began to sound. Red lights filled the bridge. The scanner screens showed massive objects moving toward them, not one ship, not two, but 15 warships all heading directly toward the horizon. Jason Pierce felt his heart go cold. He had known this moment was coming. He had prepared for it mentally, but no amount of preparation made it easier. He had brought a prince aboard without permission. He had taken one of their own. To the Empire, that could look like theft. It could look like kidnapping. It could look like an act of war. "All hands to battle stations," Jason commanded. "Do not fire. Repeat, do not fire unless fired upon." The crew moved into action. The Horizon was a salvage ship, not a warship. It had minimal defenses. Against 15 warships, they would last maybe 5 minutes if it came to combat. Jason had no intention of letting it come to that. He walked to the communication station where Tommy Hayes, the communications officer, sat ready. "Open a channel," Jason said. "Broadcast on all known frequencies. Make sure they hear us." "Yes, sir," Tommy said. He worked quickly, his hands moving across the controls. "Channel is open, Commander." Jason took a breath. He thought about sleeping in the medical bay. He thought about the scared boy who had found kindness and safety among humans for the first time in his life. He thought about what was about to happen. "This is Commander Jason Pierce of the human salvage vessel Horizon," Jason said, his voice steady and clear. "We have aboard this ship a citizen. We rescued this citizen from a damaged vessel 3 weeks ago. We are bringing this citizen home safely. We mean no harm. We ask for peaceful contact." For 30 seconds there was silence. Then the communication system crackled to life. A voice came through, cold and sharp, speaking in English. "This is Captain of the Fleet. You will identify the citizen aboard your vessel." Jason paused. He did not know if he should give name. He did not know if revealing that they had the prince would make things better or worse. But was already moving. The young had heard the communication from the medical bay. He was walking toward the bridge, still weak but determined. Was with him, trying to support his weight. Reached the communication station. He leaned down toward the microphone and his voice came through, young and clear, with only a slight accent. "I am Prince of the Empire," he said. "These humans saved my life. I order you to stand down." Another long silence. Then the voice of Captain returned and it sounded different now. It sounded shocked. "Prince, is this truly you?" "Yes," said. "I am alive because of these humans. They found me broken and alone. They healed me. They taught me. They are good. Tell my mother, tell the Empire, I am coming home." The 15 warships did not attack. Instead, they surrounded the horizon in a perfect circle, keeping pace with the salvage ship. It was not hostile exactly, but it was also not friendly. They were being escorted now, guarded, watched. Jason gave the order to continue toward the throne world. The journey took 14 more hours, 14 hours of tension, 14 hours of not knowing what would happen when they arrived. The crew moved quietly through the ship. No one spoke much. Everyone was thinking about what came next. Spent the waiting time with the crew. He walked through the corridors showing gratitude to each person who had helped him. He thanked Dr. Cross. He thanked William Hayes. He thanked Sophie Grant and Amy Carter and Tommy Hayes. He spent time with each of them, trying to show them that what they had done mattered, that they had saved more than just a life. They had saved someone who would change his entire civilization. "When I speak to my mother, I will tell her everything," said to Jason on the bridge. "I will tell her how you risked your ship, how you risked your lives, how you asked for nothing in return. She will understand. She is the queen. She will know what this means." Jason put his hand on his shoulder. The boy had grown stronger during the journey. His color was healthy now. His eyes were bright and aware. He looked like a prince again, but he also looked like someone changed. Someone who saw the universe differently than he had before. "I am not expecting any reward," Jason said. "We did what we believed was right. That is enough." "You do not understand," said. "In my culture, everything is transaction. Everything is exchange. My mother will not understand how to repay such a debt. She will have to offer you something of great value. She will have to recognize what you have done." The throne world appeared in the like a jewel of light. It was beautiful. Vast cities covered the surface, built from materials that seemed to glow from within. Ships moved through the sky like schools of fish, thousands of them, the machinery of an empire that controlled 1,000 worlds. A docking station appeared ahead. The horizon was guided toward it by the warships. Jason felt his hands grow sweaty as he gripped the controls. They were about to land on an alien world, in the heart of an alien empire, with a prince they had rescued. The ship settled down with barely a tremor. The docking clamps locked into place. "All stop," Jason ordered. "Secure all systems." A message came through the communication system in a voice that was older than Captain's voice, more authoritative, more measured. "This is Queen Meridian of the Empire. I am told my son is aboard your vessel. I wish to speak with the commander who saved his life. You have my protection for this meeting. Do not fear." Jason exchanged a look with Daniel Foster. Then he nodded too. "Prepare the delegation," Jason said. "We are going to meet a queen." The launch deck was full of activity as Jason, Dr. Cross, and prepared to leave the horizon. They wore their formal uniforms. They tried to look like representatives of their people, even though they were just 3 humans far from home, about to face one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The dock beyond the horizon's airlock was vast and clean and cold. Guards stood in perfect rows. They were tall and pale blue, with weapons at their sides. They looked down at the 3 humans with expressions that were impossible to read. Then the crowd parted. A figure approached from the far end of the dock. She was tall and regal. Her skin was pale blue, almost white, and covered with intricate patterns like writing or art. Her eyes were large and dark like eyes, but where eyes showed emotions, this woman's eyes showed power. This was Queen Meridian, the ruler of the empire. She stopped a few meters away from Jason. For a long moment she did not speak. She simply looked at him, studying his face, his form, his entire being. She was trying to understand what kind of creature could save her son without expectation of reward. "You are human," Queen Meridian said finally. "I have been told your species is primitive. I have been told you lack the capacity for logic and reason. I have been told you are beneath notice. Yet you saved my son when you could have left him to die." Jason stood straight. He did not bow. He met the Queen's eyes. "We saved him because he was alive and needed help," Jason said simply. "That is what humans do." Queen Meridian's expression did not change, but something shifted in her eyes. A recognition, a realization. She turned to look at who was standing behind the guards. "My son," she said, and for the first time the Queen's voice held emotion. "You are well." "I am more than well, Mother," said. He stepped forward and the guards did not stop him. He embraced the Queen of the Empire, this old woman whose coldness and power seemed to soften only for her child. "These humans gave me something we have lost," said. "They showed me what strength really means." Queen Meridian looked back at Jason, and when she spoke again, her voice carried a weight that seemed to shake the entire dock. "Come," she said. "I wish to understand what my son has learned. Come to my throne room, Commander. We have much to discuss." throne room of the Empire was vast beyond imagination. The ceiling rose so high that Jason could barely see it, lost in shadow and distance. The walls were carved from some dark stone that seemed to absorb light. Symbols covered every surface, telling stories in a language that had been written for thousands of years. And the throne itself sat at the far end of the room, a simple structure of black metal that somehow seemed larger and more powerful than all the beauty around it. Jason walked forward with and at his sides. Behind them came an honor guard of soldiers, all identical in their bearing, all watching with eyes that missed nothing. The crowd had been cleared from the throne room. Only the royal court remained, standing in perfect silence on both sides of the chamber. Queen Meridian sat upon the throne. She was smaller now than she had been on the docking platform, as if the throne somehow diminished her, or perhaps it was just the distance that made her seem less. Beside her stood an old man, tall and thin, with eyes that were even colder than the queen's. This was Chancellor, the supreme advisor to the throne. He had ruled the empire through military strength and strategic thinking for nearly 40 years. Chancellor spoke first. His voice was sharp and precise. "Commander Pierce, you are told that you rescued the young prince from a damaged vessel. Is this true?" "Yes," Jason said. He did not volunteer extra information. He would answer what was asked, nothing more. "You risked your own ship and crew to save the life of the Chancellor continued. Who was a stranger to you, whose empire has no treaty with your species. Can you explain your reasoning?" Jason paused. He thought about how to answer this question truthfully. He thought about what had learned and what he wanted these people to understand. "We saved him because he was alive and we could save him," Jason said. "Because every life has value, regardless of where that life comes from. Because doing the right thing should not require payment or guarantee of reward." The silence that followed was complete. Every member of the court was still. Even the guards stopped breathing. The idea that someone would help another being with no expectation of gain seemed to be something they could not quite process. Chancellor's expression did not change, but his eyes narrowed. "And what do you expect to gain from this rescue?" the Chancellor asked coldly. "Do you expect the Empire to give you technology? Do you expect military support? Do you expect trade agreements that will enrich your people?" "No," Jason said. "We expect nothing. We are returning your prince because he deserves to be with his family. That is all." Stepped forward then. He moved to stand beside Jason, and his young face was determined. His voice was clear and strong, no longer the frightened whisper of a boy broken by trauma. "I wish to speak," said to his mother. "I have studied humans for 3 weeks. I have learned their language. I have heard their stories. I have seen their hearts. And I am telling you that everything we have been taught about them is wrong." Chancellor turned his gaze too. It was a look filled with judgment and disapproval. "The prince speaks foolishness," the Chancellor said. "He is confused and weak from his injuries. His mind has been compromised by his time among primitives." "My mind is clearer than it has ever been," said, and now his voice showed anger. "You wanted to send me away because I asked questions, because I did not accept your teachings without doubt. But humans do not see that as weakness. Humans see questioning as strength. Humans believe that doubt and discovery are how you grow." "Humans are emotional," the Chancellor said. "They are driven by feeling, not logic. This is why they are inferior." "No," said firmly. "Humans understand that emotions are not separate from logic. They are part of the equation. They care about individual lives because they know that one life can matter. That has made them stronger than we are." Queen Meridian raised her hand, and silence fell. She stood from her throne and walked down the long steps toward Jason. The commander held his ground, even though every instinct was telling him to move back. The queen studied him closely. She looked at his face, his uniform, his hands. She was examining him the way a scientist examines a rare specimen, but there was something else in her eyes now, not coldness, understanding. "Tell me, Commander," the Queen said quietly, "why do you care? You were not forced to help my son. Your government did not command it. Your crew did not demand it. Why would you risk everything for someone you did not know?" Jason took a breath. He thought about how to make this alien woman understand something that came so naturally to humans. "Because when I looked at your son," Jason said, I did not see a member of a superior civilization. I did not see a species that was different from mine. I saw a child, a person, someone who was suffering and alone, and I knew that if I did not help him, I could not call myself human. Not really." Queen Meridian was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to face her entire court. When she spoke, her voice echoed through the vast chamber. "For 1,000 years, the Empire has believed that we stood alone at the top of all civilizations. We have believed that our technology and our knowledge made us superior to all other species. We have used our power to control, not to connect. We have shown strength through conquest, not through compassion." She paused. She looked back at Jason. "I have lived for 217 years. I have ruled this empire for 143 of those years, and I have never seen true strength until this moment. I have never seen someone sacrifice with no expectation of gain. I have never understood what was missing from my people." Chancellor started to speak, but the Queen silenced him with a gesture. "We are going to change," she announced. "Effective immediately, the Empire recognizes the human race as an ally species. We will establish protection for all human colonies and vessels. We will open trade and knowledge sharing with humanity." She turned directly to Jason and placed her hand over her heart. The gesture was an ancient sign of honor and respect. The entire court gasped. The Queen had never shown such respect to anyone except those born within the Empire. "Commander Jason Pierce," the Queen said formally, "I bestow upon you the title of Shield Bearer of the Empire. You and your descendants will be protected citizens of our realm. You will have the right to travel freely through space. You will have access to our knowledge and our resources. This honor has not been given to an outsider in 2,000 years." But the Queen was not finished. She gestured, and guards brought forward a container made of some crystal material. Inside was something that glowed with soft light. When the Queen opened it, Jason could see that it contained data crystals, hundreds of them. "This is the collected knowledge of the Empire," the Queen said. "Our science, our history, our philosophy, everything we know I am giving to you, to your people. Because I believe that humanity's greatest strength is not your weapons or your technology. It is your capacity for compassion. And I believe that if you possess our knowledge, combined with your ability to care for others, you will become the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever seen." She extended the container toward Jason. He stepped forward and took it. The crystal was warm in his hands. It seemed to pulse with energy. "Thank you," Jason said simply. It was all he could say. "No," Queen Meridian said, and her eyes were kind now, the way a mother's eyes can be kind. "I must thank you. You have given my son back to me. And more than that, you have given my entire people a chance to become something better than what we were." She turned to and embraced him, and for the first time in his life saw his mother clearly, not as a distant ruler but as a person who had learned something new because her son had brought humans into her world. The Queen released and looked back at Jason. "Come," she said, "there is a feast being prepared. My people wish to meet the humans who saved their prince. Come and show them what strength truly means." As Jason followed the Queen through the corridors of her palace, Jason realized something important. This was not about reward. This was not about gain. This was about transformation. They had not changed the Queen to get something from her. They had changed her because they had shown her the truth about what it meant to be strong, and in return they had gained something far more valuable than technology or power. They had gained an ally, and more than that, they had proven to an entire civilization that humans were not primitive at all. Humans were exactly what the galaxy needed. Humans were the bridge between logic and love, between strength and compassion, between what was and what could be. The Horizon left space 3 days after the feast. The ship carried with it the weight of what had happened, the knowledge of how much one act of kindness could change the world. Jason Pierce stood on the bridge and watched the throne world fade into the distance until it was just another star among thousands. The crew was quiet. They moved through their duties like people who were still processing something too large to fully understand. What had started as a routine salvage mission, what had become a rescue, had now become something historical, something that would be studied and remembered for generations. Dr. Cross came onto the bridge carrying a small package. She placed it on the captain's chair without saying anything. Jason looked at it, puzzled. "It came from," said. "He sent it as we were leaving. It is for you. He wanted you to have it." Jason opened the package carefully. Inside was a handwritten journal. The writing was in script, but Jason could see sketches mixed among the text. He opened it and saw drawings, pictures of the crew, pictures of recovering in the medical bay, pictures of teaching him about Earth, pictures of Sophie Grant laughing. Every sketch was detailed and beautiful. Each one showed understanding of the humans who had saved him. On the first page, had written something in English. "To Commander Jason Pierce, you showed me that a person's value is not measured by their power or their knowledge. It is measured by their choices. You chose to save me. That choice changed everything. For me, for my people, for the galaxy. I will never forget. Your friend." Jason felt his eyes burn with tears. He did not try to stop them, and came to look at the journal, and soon all 3 of them were looking at the sketches that had made. Each one a record of what the prince had seen, felt, and learned during his time among humans. "He sent something else," said. She held up a data crystal. "Instructions from Queen Meridian. There is a meeting scheduled for Earth, a formal diplomatic gathering. We are invited to represent humanity in the first official negotiations between our species." Jason looked at the data crystal and thought about how much had changed. The Horizon had been sent out to salvage materials from dead ships. Instead, they had salvaged a life. They had salvaged a friendship. They had salvaged the future of human civilization. The journey back to Earth took 6 weeks. During that time, Jason did something he had never done before. He wrote a full account of what had happened, not just the facts but the story, the emotions, the choices that had led them to this moment. He describes fear and his growth. He described the court and the queen's transformation. He described the realization that strength was not what anyone had thought it was. When Earth finally appeared it was the most beautiful thing Jason had ever seen. The blue oceans, the green continents, the swirl of white clouds, home. But it was also something more. It was the origin point of a species that the galaxy had underestimated, a species that understood something they, with all their power, had forgotten. The first official announcement came through Earth's communication network within hours of the Horizon's arrival. A delegation was coming. The Queen of the Empire had offered protection and alliance to humanity. Trade negotiations were being arranged. Technology was being shared. The news spread through human civilization like electricity. News feeds covered it constantly. Scientists celebrated. Politicians debated. Religious leaders discussed what it meant. But most humans simply understood one thing: they were no longer alone. They were no longer forgotten. They were now recognized as a people worthy of respect. Jason was called to the capital. The government wanted to meet him. The military wanted to debrief him. The scientific community wanted to study him. But more than anything, the people wanted to know his story. They wanted to know the commander who had brought the alien boy home. He spoke in packed auditoriums. He showed his journal. He told the crew's story. And everywhere he went, people understood something fundamental had changed. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the most technologically advanced, but they were something else, something valuable, something the galaxy needed. Months passed. The diplomatic mission to the throne world was officially scheduled. Jason and his crew were invited to be part of the delegation. They would return as representatives of their people, not as salvage workers or strangers, but as honored guests. One evening before the delegation was to leave, Jason stood in the observation center of Earth's space station. He looked out at the stars and thought about. The young prince was likely on his throne world now, working with his mother and the council, helping to shape a new era for the empire. An era that would be defined by connection instead of isolation, by compassion instead of conquest. Joined him at the observation window. "Do you think we did the right thing?" asked. "Saving him, all of this happened because we made that one choice." "I know we did," Jason said. "We saved a boy, and the boy saved us. Not with weapons or technology, but by proving to his people that humans are worth knowing, that we are worth caring about." "It is strange," said, "how one life can matter so much, how one person can change everything." "That is the human strength," Jason said. "Each life matters to us. Each person is important. We do not see individuals as just numbers or resources. We see them as people, as souls, as someone's child, someone's friend, someone's hope for the future." They stood in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there was probably looking back at Earth, probably thinking about his time on the horizon, probably grateful for a group of humans who had shown him what his own people had forgotten. The diplomatic mission departed 3 weeks later. The Horizon traveled with several Earth vessels and a full delegation of human representatives. When they arrived at the throne world, they were met not by guards or warships, but by himself. The young prince was older now, stronger. He had grown into his role. But when he saw Jason and the crew, his face lit up with genuine joy. "Welcome home," said, embracing Jason. It was a strange thing to say, welcoming humans to an alien world, but it felt right. It felt true. The meeting with Queen Meridian was formal and official and important. Trade agreements were signed. Scientific partnerships were established. Cultural exchanges were arranged. Human students would come to learn science. Scholars would study at human universities. A bridge was being built between two civilizations. But the most important moment came after the official proceedings were finished. Queen Meridian invited Jason to walk with her through the palace gardens. They talked about many things, but mainly they talked about compassion. "Your act of saving my son was not logical," the queen said. "It had no strategic value. It offered no advantage to your civilization, and yet it has changed everything. Do you understand what that means?" "It means that sometimes the right thing to do is not the logical thing," Jason said. "It means that caring about others can be more powerful than weapons or knowledge." "Yes," the queen said, "and I am an old woman learning new ways, believes that humanity will teach the galaxy to remember what we have forgotten. He may be right. He usually is." She paused at a fountain of flowing water. The water glowed with soft light as it fell. "Your reward was never just material," the queen said. "Your true reward is what is happening now. A new alliance, a new understanding, a new future where humans stand not at the bottom of civilization, but at the center of it, teaching others what strength truly means." Jason thought about the choices that had led to this moment. The choice to save when protocol said to leave him. The choice to care when the galaxy said humans were too primitive to care effectively. The choice to believe that every life mattered, even a prince's life. "I brought the alien boy home," Jason said quietly. "I did not know what would happen." "But I did," the queen said. "Not the specific details, but I knew that any act of kindness, genuine and true, must have consequences. Positive consequences. The universe rewards compassion, Commander. It may take time. It may seem impossible at first, but it always rewards those who choose to care." As Jason returned to the horizon that evening, he thought about what the queen had said. He thought about how a simple choice to rescue one person had changed the course of human history. He thought about how the greatest reward was not wealth or power, but the knowledge that his people were no longer seen as primitive. They were seen as strong. They were seen as valuable. They were seen as exactly what the galaxy needed. The Horizon left the throne world carrying a crew that knew they had done something important. They had not just saved one life. They had shown an entire civilization what it meant to be truly advanced. They had proven that the greatest technology any species could possess was the ability to care for others without expectation of reward. And as the ship moved back toward Earth, toward home, Jason Pierce stood on the observation deck and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, a young prince was probably doing the same thing, remembering the humans who had saved him and changed his world. Two civilizations, two kinds of strength, one simple choice to help when it would have been easier to walk away. And from that choice, a future was being built. A future where the galaxy would learn that strength and compassion were not opposites. They were partners. And humans understood this in a way that the most advanced alien civilization had forgotten. That was the real reward. That was the real story, and it would be told for generations.